Good evening, YouTubers. It's Ozzy C again, coming to you with my blog number 3. As you can see, I am clean shaven and had a haircut for the first time in quite a while because November's over and we managed to raise quite a bit of money for charity. Luckily, all of us all went out dressed in moustaches, which was good. Hope all of you are well. Thanks for the comments on the 2 previous videos since been going. The one about the extremist poppy burning and the one about illegal downloading. So far, prompted some pretty good responses with that. And my current one, I think, for today is going to be alcohol, as it just so happens that one of my housemates was doing a project about alcohol. Oh, excuse me. Just setting a timer, just making sure I don't go over. Just trying to keep it to a limit. One of my housemates was doing a debate on alcohol and whether drinking age should be raised to 21. So, and I helped her out a little bit with statistics and that, and sort of helped her sort of structure a debate, put it together, make something of it. And so far, I think that her points that raised were good. So that's hopes and let me know that my work wasn't in vain. Just like to start off with a bit of my drinking history, as is a thing with all students. I didn't actually get drunk until I was literally the week before my 18th birthday ever. I touched alcohol, but I came from a family where there was no alcohol in the house. Because not for religious purposes, just my family didn't drink. Mum didn't really drink. My dad didn't touch alcohol at all. Still pretty much doesn't at all. Just one of those things he's never done. So I worked in a pub when I was 16. I still work there from time to time, but they knew how old I was, so I couldn't get served. And I didn't really know what kind of alcohol I even liked. I'd sort of tried odd things in there, and first started drinking beer. I thought, oh, that's horrible, I don't like that. But I didn't get really drunk until I was 18, and a good friend of mine took me out and gave me something called snake bite. And I was like, oh, what's snake bite? And it sort of blew my head off eventually, and I was ill, and I thought, I'll never do that again. And various things. Fun enough, until I got to university, when I drank a lot, I was always ill, or always violently ill. And then after I got to university, I was always fine. Don't know what it was, it just seemed to change. I was able to handle it a bit more. And this is where I'd like to bring in some topics. It's the question was, should be raised to 21 because of kids drink driving. Now, I took some statistics. In the UK in 2008, there were, if I'm right in thinking, there were 8,000 odd drunk driving accidents. And in California alone, in America, where the drinking age is 21, which is the most populous state in the whole of the United States, it has a population of roughly 37 million people, which is definitely more than half the population of the UK in one state. The drunk driving accident rate for 2008 for that same year was 3,500. So it's nearly half the amount for one state. Now, I'm thinking that there's a correlation here, because they said a lot of those were youth. They're about the same amount of people. There were more people prosecuted under the age of 21 who were guilty of drink driving. And it seems funny that in a land where you can, at the age of 18, you can own a gun, you can own a rifle and a shotgun before you can get a handgun when you're 21, but you can own a more deadly weapon when you're 18. You can also, you can go and serve in the military. You can drive a car at the age of 16, or you can apply for your license at the age of 16, 1 year ahead of people in the UK and various other countries, and you can have sexual relations with people when you're 16, but you can't have a drink. I'm just thinking that this is why there are more youth drink driving accidents in America, because they are simply, it's a kickback, it's a reaction, it's a violent reaction. They think, well, I can't drink, but I'll do it because I'm told I shouldn't. And it's the length between the ability of being able to get in a car, and of which the American cars by and large are far more powerful and big and have much more powerful engines. Generally the smallest engine you'll get in a car in America is 2 litres. A standard size engine is 4.65 litre, and that's the car being given to a 16-year-old kid. I couldn't even dream of something like that. I had a 1.1 Punto when I was 17. I didn't even want to have the car. I was forced to buy it myself with my own money. It was a car I didn't even want, but that's by the by. And that is why the gap is so large. It's 5 years between being able to get a car and have an alcoholic beverage. It just seems ridiculous, and that's probably why so many people just do it. It's probably why so many people drunk, because they want to go out. People want to go out to parties. And, you know, that's my view on that side of things. Now, on the UK side of things, where we've got binge drinking, or the problem of perceived binge drinking, it is simply a mentality of people. As if you say people have a problem with alcohol, and then the parents always want to blame the establishment or the drink culture. But there are parents out there who drink a lot themselves, or maybe come home drunk, or, you know, kids with bad backgrounds are undoubtedly going to start drinking way before they should, and a lot more than they should at any time of their lives, simply because of the way their lives have been. And it's a real shame that everyone has to sort of point the finger and say, blame society, we should raise the drinking age, because it's simply not the point. There are a lot of people out there who drink very sensibly. I drink very sensibly. I really don't have the idea. It's the mentality. There's two kinds of mentalities there. I'm going to go out and have a nice time with my friends and have a few beers, and that'll be nice, or have a few drinks. Then there's the other mentality on the other side, which says, I am going to go out and get as drunk as I possibly can, to the point where I can't even stand and I need to go to the hospital. I've never understood that frame of mind, because quite frankly that sounds like a horrible state to be in a lot of the time. But a lot of people I know are like that. They love to do that sort of thing. They go, I'm going to go and drink myself stupid. There's a guy at one of my parties, one of my horrible house parties that I really should have never held, who was diabetic. I didn't know he was diabetic, and consumed by himself an entire big bottle of Smirnoff vodka. And as you can imagine, that didn't end too well. Luckily he's still alive. But I think what we need to do in this situation about alcohol is just remember that, but on the other side as well, on the health side, people who say it's unnatural, they're saying people who literally don't include anything in their diet, you know, the people who look at the back of every single thing they eat just to check what calories and just to check what's in it. There's such a thing in all of life that's called moderation. It's a very simple thing. You just don't have too much of something that's bad for you. You have a little bit now and again, odds and ends here and there, maybe to reward yourself after you've done a lot of hard work, or you've achieved something, or just to keep social flow going. It's very simple. I mean, it's not a difficult thing to do. I finish work at the pub. If I've done a 11-12 hour shift at the pub, which you intend to do on doubles, then I feel that I can have 1 pint of beer and go home. I don't see where anything's wrong with that. But the idea is you can't have... This is the same thing with the religion, and you know, the problems about religion, and generally at the moment there's no such thing as a middle ground anymore. You either have people who only go out and literally the only thing they want to do is drink themselves stupid, or you have the people who won't even look at alcohol, they won't even touch it. I don't think that alcohol is not a terrible thing. It doesn't destroy lives. Alcohol is not what destroys lives. It's the circumstances around the individual that drives them to drink the alcohol that destroys their life. It's the same with drugs, but I'll get onto that in another topic. And that's essentially what it is. So maybe if we take into account people's situation, admittedly, you know, they say alcohol is a crutch, but some people go silly with it. So, oh, you're having a beer there? Are you having a beer with that meal? You're using it as a crutch. Like, well, people were drinking beer before it was known, you know, before they said it was really bad for your health. People were drinking whiskey before it's bad for your health, and I don't recall the human race died out because they all had a drink, and that everyone died, you know, before they were 30 because of, you know, binge drinking. I reckon people drank more before about 1960, 1950, you know, in the early 1900s, if you were of a very poor background, or you were a sort of working class family, if you were a kid, you had two choices. You probably had water or a beer. If you got to the age of 15, 16, that was pretty much all you had to drink. In, you know, sort of towny, built-up areas, that was all you had to drink. You think about kids, actually, they've got a much healthier way now because they can have orange juice, vitamin water, you know, they're going to have Coca-Cola and sugary snacks. And that's the other thing with Coca-Cola. It's like, look, I know Coca-Cola isn't good for my health, but I drink it because it refreshes me. If I want to have a Diet Coke, which is a treat with all the things that you like in a treat taken out of it, I'll have a glass of water. That's a simple fact. If I want to look after my diet, I won't have an approximation of what is considered to be a sweet snack, a sugary treat, or something like that. I just won't do it because it seems a bit stupid to me to shortchange yourself on something that you know is a luxury and a treat for the sake of keeping yourself healthy, because you know you're not having it. Because if you want to keep yourself healthy, you wouldn't have... I don't think you'd give yourself an apple or a carrot as a treat, or a salad. Just don't. People don't tend to do that. It's my opinion anyway. I definitely don't do it, but as far as I know, I'm still alive and have all my facets. So yeah, just in terms of alcohol, just remember that there are people, you know, and one, not all students are obsessed with drinking themselves into a drunken stupor. And unfortunately, the case of the Cenotaph, the guy who urinated on the Southampton Cenotaph during a carnage, was one person. He wasn't every single student, and he didn't represent every single student, because not everyone is that drunk they'll go and see something that unbelievably disrespectful. So just remember that, you know, if anyone's watching that and they feel the need to black out student, you know, just sort of tarnish students with the brush of that we're all a load of drunkards wasting our time, that, believe it or not, some of us are not. And it would appear I've run out of time. So yeah, there you go. So alcohol, enjoy in moderation, or if you feel you can handle it, have a little bit more, but don't go out with the intention of going out and getting completely blotto. If that's the only thing you're doing, then you need to reassess your circumstances. And yes, so I'm going to leave you with that. And just, what's the date today? It's the 6th of December. I think it is anyway. Nearly Christmas time. I'll be leaving for Christmas very soon, so maybe I have a few blogs going on at my house back home. And in terms of recommendations for interesting things in life, I have this, which is really showing my age when you see what medium it is. It's The Naked Gun, which is on VHS, but that's just to demonstrate, because of course you may have known that the great actor Leslie Nielsen, who's one of the funniest men in the world, died aged 84 the other day, which was terribly sad. But yeah, you know, he was such a funny man. Airplane and Naked Gun films are two of my favourite films. So if you don't know what the Naked Gun film is like, what Airplane is like, there it is there. And that's an extremely funny film. Definitely one of the funniest films ever made. Just silly, wacky, zany humour, and you know, really well written lines. And I'm currently sort of out of research now, so I'm going to attempt to read The Stand by Stephen King. But as you can see, it's pretty thick. So maybe get some of that done over the holes just to enjoy myself. Reading is cheap luxury, I suppose. But if you want a really good book that I can recommend that I have read all the way through, there it is, Tom Clancy's Executive Orders, and that is the last book of the Jack Ryan series, as you all know from Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, Sum of All Fears. I mean, those are the ones that are turned into films, but it's really good. Stick with it. It is a bit of a big one, as you can see, but it's really worth sticking with, because it's a fantastic political thriller, and it's Tom Clancy. I do find him, but I sort of have a love-hate relationship with his writing, but he does write very complicated, sort of drawn-out sentences, but the actual sequences are well worth it, and it's an excellent book with lots of lovely little sub-plots and titles. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with that, and everyone, if you want to comment, feel free, write a comment, agree, disagree, or suggest another idea. I'm all up for that. It's an open forum, free speech. So I will leave you tonight, and this is Aussie C signing off. All have a good Christmas if I don't see you beforehand. Ta-ra.